We are going to start today's lesson by recapping some of the knowledge that we learnt last week. On the screen is a picture of 3 children who are playing at the park. I would like you to look at the picture and see what straight lines you can spot. Can you use some of the vocabulary from last week to describe the lines you can see? And as a challenge, can you spot any angles in the picture? So pause the video and see what lines you can see and what they might be called. Were you able to spot any lines in the picture? Great job! Let's see if we can use our vocabulary from last week to describe them. We're going to start by looking for parallel lines. Remember, parallel lines are 2 straight lines that do not meet no matter how long they are drawn. I spotted some parallel lines here on the swing. I also spotted parallel lines on the monkey bars here. How many parallel lines did you spot in the photo? Did you see any perpendicular lines? Let's check the definition first. Perpendicular lines are 2 straight lines that meet to make a right angle. And we know a right angle is a 90-degree angle. Did you see any perpendicular lines in the picture? I spotted one here on the edge of the swing set. I've got 2 straight lines which meet to make a right angle, so the lines are perpendicular. How many perpendicular lines did you spot in the picture? And how many right angles did you spot in the picture? Great job, Year 3. Let's get started with today's lesson. On the screen, I have got a picture of the world-famous Maths No Problem Art Gallery. I can see that the pictures are rectangular in shape and are hanging upright on the wall. What can we say about the sides of the rectangles? Could we use our vocabulary from last week to describe the sides of the rectangles? It may help you to label the sides of the rectangle. This side or line would be AB. This one would be BC. This one would be CD. And this side or line would be DA. Pause the video and see what you can say about the sides of the rectangle. How did you get on? Did you manage to use our vocabulary to describe the sides of the rectangle? Good job! Because we aren't together in school, I've had to ask my friends from Maths No Problem to help me. We're going to start by describing line AD, which is this blue one here, and line BC, which is this orange one here. Pause the video and have a think about what my friend might be saying to describe these 2 lines. Did you think my friend was saying that line AD and line BC are parallel? You would be correct that these lines are parallel, but my friend has spotted something else. He thinks that they are vertical lines. Can you say this word with me? Vertical. Do you know what a vertical line is? we can use the word vertical to describe lines that are perpendicular to the floor. In the picture, you can see the floor is here and line AD is perpendicular to the floor. So we can describe line AD as a vertical line. Can you see another vertical line in the picture? Correct! Line BC is also a vertical line because it is perpendicular to the floor. Now we are going to have a go at describing line AB, which is this blue line here, and line DC, which is this orange line here. Pause the video and think about what you could say about line AB and line DC. Did you think that line AB and line DC are parallel? You are correct, because no matter how long we continued these lines, they would never meet. So we can say they are parallel lines. But line AB and line DC are also parallel with the floor. If we imagine the floor was one long line, it would never meet line DC and it would never meet line AB. So they are parallel. We can also describe this as horizontal because horizontal lines are parallel to the floor. So just like my friend from Maths No Problem, we can say that they are horizontal lines. Can you have a go at saying this word with me? Horizontal. Great job, Year 3. You are now not only angle experts, but also line experts. Let's remind ourselves of some of the words we've learnt to help us describe lines. Can you remember what we would call this pair of lines here? Can you say it for me? Correct! These are parallel lines. They are two straight lines that do not meet no matter how long they are drawn. Can you remember how we would describe this pair of lines here? Can you say it for me? Correct! These are perpendicular lines. That means they are two straight lines that meet to make a right angle. We have also learnt a vertical line is a line that is perpendicular to the floor, just like this line here. And finally, we've learnt about horizontal lines, which are lines that are parallel to the floor. Another helpful way to remember horizontal lines is to think of the horizon, which would be this line here, which is parallel to the floor. Now we are going to think about the two new words that we learnt today. We learnt about vertical lines and horizontal lines. I had a look around my house to see if I could find any vertical lines or any horizontal lines. This is what I found. Can you pause the video and see if you can spot any vertical lines, lines that are perpendicular to the floor, or any horizontal lines, lines that are parallel to the floor? Pause the video and see what you notice. Did you manage to spot any vertical lines? Did you manage to spot any horizontal lines? Well done. I thought that the handles on my cupboard door were vertical lines because if I carried them on, they would be perpendicular with the floor. I noticed the same thing on the doors of my wardrobe, that they were perpendicular with the floor. So I'm going to record them in this part of my table because they were vertical lines. I noticed some horizontal lines above my fireplace because they are parallel to the floor. I also noticed that the shelves in my cupboard were horizontal lines because they are parallel to the floor. So I'm going to record them in the horizontal lines column on my table. Now it's your turn, Year 3. I would like you to look around your house and see if you can find any vertical lines. These are lines that are perpendicular to the floor. I'd also like you to see if you can find any horizontal lines in your house. These are lines that are parallel to the floor. You can record the lines you find in the table like I did, or you can send us a picture on Class Dojo. Good luck and see how many vertical lines or horizontal lines you can find. Well done, Year 3. Miss Lopez and I are looking forward to seeing all the horizontal and vertical lines you managed to find. We're going to have a look at one more example together before you start your independent work. I would like you to look at the shelf that you can see on my screen. Can you describe any of the lines using the words that we have learnt today? It might help you to label the lines. So this line here would be line AB, and this line would be line BC. Pause the video and see if you can describe any of the lines that are on the shelf. How did you get on? Did you manage to find any vertical lines, lines which are perpendicular to the floor, or any horizontal lines, lines which are parallel to the floor? Let's look at some together. We're being asked to list 5 horizontal lines. So 5 lines that are parallel to the floor. These are the ones that I found. Line AB, line BC, line DE, line EG, and line HI. Can you pause the video and explain why I am correct? Why are these lines horizontal lines? Were you able to explain yourself? You needed to say that these lines were horizontal because they were all parallel to the floor. Did you spot any other horizontal lines? Good job. Now we're going to look at the shelf and see if we can find 3 vertical lines, except they all need to have the same length. Can you pause the video and have a look? Remember, they need to have the same length. How did you get on? Let's look at the lines that I found. We need to check that they are vertical lines and also that they are the same length. I found line AD, line BE and line CG. Pause the video and see if you can explain why I am correct. You needed to say that these lines are all vertical because they are perpendicular to the floor, and we can also see that they are all the same length. So I am correct. Thank you for your help in proving that I was correct. Well done, Year 3. You have learnt 2 new words today to help us describe lines. You're going to practice this in your workbook today. On page 169, you need to colour all the vertical lines in the picture and then all the horizontal lines in the picture. On page 170, there are some paintings. The edges of the paintings have been labelled, so the lines have all got names. So this line would be line AB, and this line, line BC. Underneath, you need to list all the horizontal lines and then list all the vertical lines. After that, you need to work out which horizontal lines have the same length. You don't need to measure this, you can just use your eyes and estimate. And the same thing, which vertical lines have the same length. As a challenge, I would like you to make a poster for Miss Lopez to tell her what you have learned so far about lines. I'm sure she's going to be just as impressed as I am. I'm going to leave the vocabulary check on the next part of the video, so you can pause the screen and leave it up to help you if you need it whilst you complete your workbook. I can't wait to see all of your excellent learning, Year 3. Great job, and I will see you tomorrow.